Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I do want to speak about Xavi Hernández because he did speak for the first time since leaving FC Barcelona and he had an interview. And so I do want to delve deeper into what Xavi Hernández said, and this interview has to be discussed because I do think that it would also leave out a good message towards any other young manager that will be looking to coach in Europe in the future. So first things first, Xavi Hernández said this: if you look at our record when I was there, I included my coaching staff with me. It is very positive because the club was in one of its worst periods in history, perhaps even worse than the beginning of the millennium. The expectations were very high because of my history with Barcelona. Maybe my deep emotional connection to the club hurt me at times. I was too emotional at times, but this experience was a real learning experience for me. And so why was it difficult when Xavi Hernández came? So he did make his arrival on November 6, 2021, replacing Ronald Koeman. It was a very challenging period for Barcelona because we were going through a financial crisis with a lot of debt. We were struggling to meet La Liga's financial regulations, and on the pitch we had a very low level squad and we were 9th place in La Liga. And Xavi Hernández came in and said, oh my god, we're in 9th place, how the hell are we going to get into the top 3? We were far from Barcelona's usual standards and we needed a turnaround. And so Xavi Hernández had to work quickly. Eventually on that season, which was the 2021-2022 season, we ended up going into 2nd place by the end of the season. From 9th to 2nd place, that's really good. Keep in mind that in the season before that one, which was Koeman's first season and with Lionel Messi, we finished in 3rd place. And so to finish 2nd a year later with Xavi, it was amazing. And like I've said, even if Xavi Hernández wanted to bring in some reinforcements for the January transfer window back in the year of 2022, Barcelona couldn't do anything. We revolved our project around Dani Alves, Adama Traoré, Luke de Jong, Aubameyang, and Ferran Torres. Those were the players that Xavi Hernández could achieve at that time. Can you imagine bringing in a retired Dani Alves who left 5 years before, Adama Traoré, who was okay but we could have gotten much better at that time, Luke de Jong, a legend in my opinion, who did score goals because of Xavi Hernández's training, but still, Luke de Jong, and then having Aubameyang and Ferran Torres, it was not the best. For a team like Barcelona, you want to have the best team in the world and the best players in the world. And then you had Nico Gonzalez, who Xavi had to bet on, Gavi, who was 17 or 18 at that time, Jordi Alba, who was finished, Piqué, who was finished, Pedri, who was still young. It was all about surviving for the now and installing the seeds in order for it to grow later in the future. That is what Xavi Hernández had to do in his first year at Barcelona. And then going into the 2022-2023 season where we won La Liga and the Spanish Super Cup, it was still bad. The only reason why we achieved the signing of Lewandowski, Koundé, Rafinha, and Christensen was because we had to sell some of our assets. We generated around 600 million euros because of the sales. And I believe that even up until today, if it wasn't for these signings like Lewandowski, Koundé, Rafinha, Christensen, Barcelona would not be at where it's at today. Lewandowski is phenomenal as our striker. Jules Koundé is the best right back in the world. Rafinha, well, we already know. If anything, Rafinha is becoming a Ballon d'Oro contender. But yeah, those were the signings that Xavi Hernández could make at that time, and it paid dividends because on that season, we won La Liga and the Spanish Super Cup. We wanted to win the Champions League, but we got knocked out very early. But the financials continue to hinder Barcelona over and over again because throughout those years and months, Barcelona were trying to get what Xavi Hernández was demanding, but they were so unsuccessful on so many player operations. Xavi wanted Silva. Barcelona said, we can't. Xavi wanted Erling Haaland. Barcelona said, we can't. Xavi wanted Joshua Kimmich. Barcelona said they can't. Xavi wanted Zubimendi. Barca said they can't. Xavi wanted Nico Williams. Barcelona said they can't. Paul Pogba. Barcelona said no. Alphonso Davies. Barcelona said no. Almost all players that Xavi Hernández wanted, Barcelona said no, we cannot give you these players. Xavi Hernández could never build the true project that he wanted. He could never get the full image of what he wanted Barcelona to look like ever. La Liga gave Barcelona an operation of the 1-4 rule, meaning that for all the money that you do accumulate, you can only spend 25% of it. So for example, right, this is just for the sake of simplicity. If we sold Ansu Fati 2 years ago for like, let's just say 10 million euros, we would only be able to spend 2.5 million euros of that 10 million. And that's it. That is what Barcelona were operating on. And that is why we were so restricted. Xavi Hernández could not get anything. And it got even worse. We went into the 2023-2024 season, and in the summer of 2023, Dembélé and Busquets left, and Barcelona could not find a reinforcement. Oriol Romeu and Gundogan were the only real enforcements in that summer. It was also a blessing in disguise, I would say, because the fact that Dembélé left and we could not find another backup right winger, it's the reason why we got Lamine Yamal today. But that's besides the point. Even if Barcelona signed a right winger or not in the summer of 2023, Yamal would have blossomed either way till this day. Because when Messi was first getting into the first team and he was a substitute, everybody knew that Messi was going to be a special player, that he was magical, that he was going to be the next Diego Maradona. But Barcelona still said, we're still going to have Ronaldinho, Eto'o, and Gulli up top. top. These were players that were limiting the minutes of Messi, but then Messi eventually became so good that Barcelona just could not ignore him. And so at that time, Barcelona took care of the now and for the future. It was a great mix. So either way, Lamine Yamal was going to blossom. And Xavi Hernández needed reinforcements now, like on that time in the summer of 2023. He wanted Silva or Dani Olmo, but Barcelona said, no, we're sorry. Dembele left, you're going to have to work with Ferran Torres, Ansu, and Rafinha. And if you find any player in La Masia, you're more than welcome to promote them. But what really hurt Barcelona the most was the absence of Sergio Busquets, because he was the most important piece to the puzzle. Like, the whole midfield collapsed and Oriol Romeu gave no answers. And Xavi Hernández really did struggle. Through those months, Xavi Hernández gave minutes to Lamine Yamal, Cubarsí, Balde, Gavi, Hector Fort, Fermin Lopez. We saw some seeds getting planted. It was amazing because they were doing awesome as our Barcelona youngsters. But this is what's going to lead me towards Xavi's next comment, and this is what he said. I admit I made some mistakes in management. Busquets' departure forced us to rethink our style of play. I chose to play with a midfield of 3 attacking players, but it wasn't always the best option. Beyond the titles, I feel proud to have trusted a new generation like Fermin Lopez, Lamine Yamal, Pau Cubarsí, and Alejandro Balde. They represent the future of this club. And so if you guys do not know what he meant by 3 attacking players in the midfield, he's talking about the time when Barcelona were using Gundogan, Frenkie, and Pedri. It was not the best option, because if we look at the stats behind the Gundogan, Pedri, and Frenkie midfield, they used it a total of 13 times in that season. And they had 5 wins, 4 losses, and 4 ties. As we can see here on the table, they used it back on August 13th against Getafe, 0-0 draw. Following game against Cádiz, 2-0 win. Following game against Rayo Vallecano, 1-1 draw. Following game against Porto, win. Atletico Madrid, win. Girona, lost. Valencia, draw. Real Madrid, loss, which was 4-1. Real Betis, win, 4-2. Athletic Club, loss. Osasuna, win. Napoli, draw. And then PSG, loss, where again they used Gundogan, Frenkie, and Pedri, and those 3 players put together could not find the defensive coverage that Xavi Hernández was looking for. And that is why occasionally we were rotating between either a Gundogan, Pedri, and Frenkie, or a Christensen, Frenkie, and Pedri, or Christensen, Gundogan, and Frenkie. Christensen really gave the balance in the midfield that Xavi Hernández was looking for. So it was really tough, right? So Xavi Hernández needed to get very creative with what he was given. So it is a very interesting interview coming from Xavi Hernández, and I'm glad to see that he admitted to his mistakes. Yes, he made some mistakes, but it's mistakes that you were forced to make because you were not given the correct material. I'm very excited to see the future of Xavi Hernández, because I do think that Xavi Hernández will be choosing a big time team, a team that can buy players and really give Xavi Hernández what he is looking for. Most likely it is going to be in the Premier League, because there has been some sources claiming that he is talking with some Premier League clubs, and I do think, this is just my own opinion, but I do think that Xavi Hernández is going to be choosing Manchester City. I feel like Pep Guardiola needs some rest. I know that he just extended, that he's going to be there for another 3 or 4 years, whatever. It does not matter. If the coach feels like he's not bringing too much to the table anymore, and Pep Guardiola is very self-accountable, he's going to be saying, I want to leave. My time is done here. And I do think that City are looking at Xavi. And I do think that Xavi Hernández will be very interested in coaching City, because it would allow him to sign the players that he does want for the first time. He could not get that at FC Barcelona. And I wanted that for Xavi Hernández. I wanted Xavi to get the players that he wanted, because he is a good coach. He is an amazing coach. And I can already see Xavi Hernández really utilizing Man City's team well, and also like rejuvenating the squad, because let me tell you, Man City do need to have their team rejuvenated. And Nico Gonzalez is going to be at the heart of everything. A player that Man City just signed 2 months ago. It also does align with Man City's philosophy. It's going to be an easy transition. They're not going to need to make a lot of changes in the squad, because Pep Guardiola and Xavi Hernández are very identical. And so that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.